Since launching Blackboard, our online training delivery system, Training Services section has posted several lessons dedicated to structure fire topics. The lessons have given us field personnel opportunities to discuss the science of fire behavior. Last month's drills included UL and NIST research on flow path and why controlling the door is so critical. Our battalion wet hose lays gave us a hands-on experience with these concepts. If you're like me, an individual assigned to the field, you're thinking, what will TSS post next? Is there more research showing how we should fight fire differently than how we previously trained? The answer to this question is yes. Let's discuss this structure fire. Fire showing from the front of what looks like a single-story, single-family dwelling. You are first on scene. There are many decisions that must be made to ensure the incident priorities of life, incident stabilization through fire control, and property preservation are addressed. Let's focus on one of the first decisions. Where is the initial line best positioned to address all three incident priorities? There are basically two options. Position the line closest to the fire and flow water to take the heat out of it, or two, take your line to the side or to the rear of the house, force entry, and move from the uninvolved portion of the structure to the area involved with fire. There's good reason for each decision. Getting water quickly on a fire keeps it from getting larger, or making your way into the structure from the uninvolved area may allow victims to get out sooner. However, there are consequences to these decisions. Making the wrong decision can create a flow path for the fire to grow faster and put victims at firefighters' risk. The first option is the quickest way to cool the fire in the picture and address all incident priorities effectively. The phrase uninvolved to involved is significant and requires more discussion. Over the years, we have used this to describe how we fight most structure fires. But why? It's probably due to another phrase we have come to use often in structure firefighting. The phrase is pushing fire. We say we work from uninvolved to involved to prevent pushing fire further into the structure, which could result in causing more damage and jeopardizing more life. But recent research by UL and NIST indicates that fire cannot be pushed by a hose stream. If we flow water into a window at the ceiling above the fire, we will cool the environment and prevent the fire from growing. This technique is often called hitting it hard from the yard, transitional attack, or softening the target. It doesn't matter what we call it, we just need to know that this tactic slows the fire growth and increases victim survivability. Let's watch this video taken from a lecture given at the recent FDIC 2013 by UL's Steve Kerber and Dan Madrikowski of NIST and the members of the FDNY.
Let's put water in the window. You pull up to this fire right here. Kitchen window right next to the front door. Give it a shot of water in through the kitchen windows before you go in through the front door, and see what you do to conditions in the rest of the structure. We saw that we had that railroad flat, right? So do we make conditions in those back rooms worse because water went in the front? Water goes in, directed at the ceiling. Trying to get that fire to move back into the floor, make things worse. Gallons a minute into that kitchen window with a couple of rooms on fire puts a lot of fire out. Does it put the fire completely out? Absolutely not. Does it take temperatures in that kitchen and take them from 1400 degrees to 200 degrees? Does it take that middle room from 600 to 300 and the rear room from 500 to 300? The hallway on the other side from 550 to 300? You are making conditions for anybody that may be in that house better. And if you can accomplish that while you're walking up to the front door to make access, why not? It's not going to slow your operation down at all.
When to flow water into the window. The decision to flow water into a window should be based on time. If you see fire venting from a window, what better way to keep it from getting larger than to apply water? You need to decide if you can reach it faster from the exterior than the interior. If you can, it's all about doing it right to be sure you allow steam to escape out the window. Here's the technique. Flow water using a straight stream pointed on a steep angle at the ceiling. This technique allows for the water to enter the structure through the window opening while allowing enough space for the steam to exit the same open window. Providing an area of the window where the steam can exit is critical with this technique. As the straight stream breaks apart upon hitting the ceiling, the smaller droplets absorb the heat. The steam that results during cooling exits the structure through the same window the straight stream is applied from. Do not use a fog pattern. Using a fog pattern to apply water from the exterior of a window can create more steam in the interior if not done correctly. If the fog stream seals the entire window opening, the steam produced on the interior has no way to escape. Remember, smoke, steam, and gases are looking for the closest path of least resistance. If there's no exit out of the window, the steam will move throughout the structure. This can result in a collapse of the neutral plane, thereby reducing survivable space for victims and rescuers. Applying a fog stream into a window may be appropriate at times. If there are no lives needing rescue and no firefighters inside, this may be your tactic of choice. Every fire is different. Be sure you have the facts before you apply your tactic. Applying a few quick bursts of water from the outside can at times keep the fire from rapidly moving toward flashover. This can be done while crews enter the structure to search for victims and keep the fire from moving into other occupied areas. Don't think of this as a defensive tactic. It's not. Quickly bouncing a straight stream off the ceiling from an exterior position is an offensive tactic. You are cooling a fire that would otherwise be allowed to grow exponentially.
Exterior water into the second floor. So now we've got a flashed over room on the second floor, right above the front door. If you were to give that fire a little bit of water before you went through the front door, what would you do to conditions inside? That's what we're looking at. Your views in the top there, you're looking at water. And again, you see the rotation and the breaking of the straight stream. The only guidance we gave them was put water where you see fire. So the stream got broken up, which became a learning thing for us as well, that how you apply that stream can be extremely important as to where that steam winds up going. In this case, you actually saw a little bit of burp of steam out through the front door on the first floor because you took a flow path that wanted to come out, and by the air entrainment of rotating that stream, capped it. So essentially you shut that window with your water. Steam's got to go somewhere, and it came out through the front door. We've subsequently done other experiments where if you hold that straight, you try and get as low into that windowsill as possible, take a steep angle, get that straight stream in through that window, you can actually allow that window to continue to act as an outlet instead of sealing it up like you would if you were to use a fog stream or rotate rapidly as a straight stream. So here's what we did to the temperatures in the bedroom and the hallway. The bedroom dropped at the ceiling from 1,000 to 200. At the floor, if you had a victim on the floor, you'd be looking at 400 to 150. Not survivable to begin with. In the hallway, where it was survivable, 900 to 250 at the ceiling, 400 to 200 at the 3-foot mark, where someone would be crawling. And we actually got a little bit of a temperature increase all the way at the floor that went from 100 to 120. Somebody really going to feel the difference between 100 and 120? Maybe, maybe not. You're certainly going to feel the decrease of 900 over your head down to 250 over your head. This also brings up an interesting conversation that we began to have about if you're a firefighter and for whatever reason you're inside on the opposite end of that hose line. Not that we're advocating that you be there for whatever reason. That's uncoordinated and shouldn't be done. Would you feel 100 to 120? We hear these stories of it got awful, hellacious, hot, and things like that. Not discounting those at all. Absolutely agree that they have happened and will happen, shouldn't happen. When you've got a thin layer of Nomex on your ear, or your gear is saturated because you've just been in a boatload of heat, probably any degree of increase is going to feel not so good. So even though it seems like a very small increase, it may be perceived as a huge increase in heat, something that we need to take a more look at.
Second story window. Upon arrival, you see fire from a second story window of a two-story residential home. Each firefighter should be seeking answers to these questions. Are there victims inside that need rescue? Should our approach be to extend a line from the uninvolved to the involved, or to take the heat out of the fire by applying water from the outside? Can we control the door, extend multiple lines inside, search for victims, and apply water from the outside with the individuals assigned to the first arriving units? Based on the situation, there are other questions you may need to answer. The idea is that you need to find answers to these questions seconds after arriving on scene. For this incident, the goal should be to apply water to the fire as soon as possible to keep it from growing. This may be achieved by applying water from hose streams, working from the uninvolved to the involved like we traditionally do. However, our second strategic priority is to limit the fire's growth. We may want to reconsider our tradition. In this case, limiting the fire's growth may be best achieved by getting water on it as soon as possible. This can be done by hitting it hard from the yard and applying a straight stream toward the ceiling of the room involved. With proper technique, this will improve conditions throughout the structure and make conditions more tenable for any potential victims as well as fire attack crews. Again, proper technique includes a straight stream pattern at a steep angle close to the sill aimed at the ceiling. Apply 10 to 30 seconds of short bursts of water as teams enter the structure and control the door openings. This technique requires coordination of on-scene resources. The first arriving company officer must recognize when this technique is best applied and give the assignment shortly after arrival. Multiple applications may be necessary if interior crews are having trouble reaching the seat of the fire. Although we don't respond to many basement fires in Los Angeles, this doesn't remove the fact that they are dangerous and we need to be prepared on how to fight them. You arrive on scene to find smoke and fire from a ground level window and light smoke coming from the door. Life is always our priority. Next is limiting the fire's growth. Basement fires are dangerous for many reasons. The first being firefighters are forced to fight them from an uphill position. This is no different than having fire below you while on an in-turn of a mid-slope road on a brush fire. Basement fires are watch-out situations in structure firefighting. Your uphill position puts us directly in the flow path. The questions are, how do you create survivable space for victims and rescuers and limit the fire's growth when in this disadvantaged position? And how do we prevent excessive steam buildup from collapsing the neutral plane? UL's recent study on basement fires provides some tactical recommendations. Their research indicates that exterior water application into the basement window will not push fire throughout the structure. Exterior water application during a basement fire will in fact improve conditions throughout the structure. If structural integrity allows for it, exterior water application provides interior attack crews a more tenable environment to gain access to the basement to extinguish any contents that are still burning. Now let's look at the UL study that supports this tactic.
Through the basement door, we had a walkout Bilco door on the Charlie side of the structure. So we've got a fire going in the basement, we've got a flow path out through the front door, assuming there's a crew in there beginning their operation, or the front door just got vented and left open by occupants. We're going to throw 15 seconds of water in through the Bilco door in the rear, again with a shot to where the flashover is. We got no push of fire out through the front of the basement windows. You start to see some steam conversion there. What used to be fire is now steam. 15 seconds of water. They gave it a quick shot. They put the gases out. And I think that's the important piece. We took what was a fully involved, ventilation limited, burning the gases fire, and with 15 seconds of water, that water converted to steam. Amount of heat got absorbed. The fire went back to the contents that were burning, not all the gases burning. That's what's going to be burning and moving up the stairwell. If you can knock that out, you're doing a whole lot of good for a lot of people. And again, the IR at the top of the stair, there was not a huge burst of heat that went up the stairwell. We didn't see it. So what it looked like when we put 15 seconds of water through the basement door. Top of the stair temperature, 1500 degrees at the ceiling down to 550. The amount of energy, 40 kilowatts per meter squared. 20 kilowatts per meter squared is the amount of energy that's considered the onset of flashover. So essentially we had flashover conditions going up those basement stairs, dropped dramatically. The 1 foot temperature, if you were laying at the top of the basement stairs, went from a unsurvivable 750 degrees down to 200 degrees. Bedroom temperatures upstairs dropped. Everything in that structure got better. Start the attack from the outside, but finish it inside. So you throw 15 seconds of water into that basement, you knock down those gases, you take a flashover, turn it back to a content fire, you reset the fire a little bit, and then you get in there and you finish it off. Because if you don't get in there and finish it off, it's going to come back. Because the contents are still burning. You still have combustibles in there. You only flowed 15 seconds of water. So 180 gallons a minute, you put 45 gallons of water in there in 15 seconds. Buys you time, and in this case we looked at 90 seconds later. So assuming you did nothing for 90 seconds, the temperatures come back up. So it's very important that once that initial knockdown takes place, whether you're finishing your attack by going in through the Bilko door that you threw water in, or you're going down the stairs, you're buying yourself a heck of a lot of time to finish it off.